Welcome to the Unicorn Connector Show, where we talk about relationships, revenue, and referrals. We'll dig into opportunities for people to generate revenue by making referrals from the relationships they establish. We'll also cover tips to grow your network, leverage it, and get paid residual income for life.
Today is a very important topic of discussion because we're focused on relationships and really how to foster inclusive relationships in business, collaborate better, establish partnerships that have real meaning behind them. And we have an incredible person to talk about that today. So I'm excited for Suzette West to be on the call. She is the founder and CEO of Wild Hearts Rising, which is really focused on creating more inclusive and positive work environments. So Suzette is the perfect person because she's all about inclusivity and collaboration, and she's a purpose-driven leader who's focused on creating a positive impact in the world and creating a better workplace environment for everybody. So Suzette, I'm very grateful to have you here today, and I'm excited to have you on the show. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So Suzette, why don't you introduce yourself? Say hello.
Hi, everyone. Hey, Daniel. I was so excited when you invited me to come onto the show and talk about partnership and forming inclusive business relationships. I think it's so important. So it's really an important topic right now. So we're going to talk about relational alignment, which is the second point of alignment in the A-Player Alignment Accelerator framework that we are going to be focusing on in the accelerator, the A-Player Alignment Accelerator pilot program. But the second point of alignment is relational alignment. And the reason why it's second is because the first point of alignment is self-alignment. It's how you show up to yourself, to the world, to people around you. So you got to get that right. But once you get that point aligned, now you're ready for the second point of alignment, which is relational alignment, which is what we're talking about today. And relational alignment is how we show up in relation to other people on like a one-on-one type of situation. So, there's some people that are very judgmental. So how are you showing up to people? Are you judging them? Are you just curious about them? Are you just judging by the way they look? We humans are meaning makers and we like to judge people. And so, but when the thing happens when you judge though, is that when we judge people, we shut down the flow of connection. We shut down the flow of communication. Because in order for there to be free flow of communication and connection, there has to be a sense of safety. And most people know it as psychological safety, which has been studied extensively and shown to be a very, very crucial part of building sustainable relationships of any kind. So part of that inclusiveness is learning to appreciate human beings, that we're all different, that we don't all hold the same values, that, something might mean a certain way to me. Like things have different meanings to different people. Like, a situation might look a certain way to me, but that same situation is going to look different for somebody else with a different viewpoint and born into different traditional beliefs and that kind of stuff. So there's really no one way to look at the world because there's so many ways to look at the world based on how we grew up, how we lived, what traditions we were born under. And the whole challenge in today's world of work is to have the ability to suspend our judgments so that we can learn to get calm, get quiet, have patience, open up the line of communication, and to basically hold space as someone opens up and shares their story. Like really be interested in that person's story. Because I really believe that if you're living and breathing in this time in history, you're here for a reason. And, it's really upon us to really get anchored into our own authenticity so that we can then embody that change that we wish to see in the world. And so this is kind of my way of doing that with the A-Player Alignment Accelerator, and to really just start giving voice to the way to build relationships in the new way, in a way that embraces a shared humanity, or a new way that's kind. We're kind to each other. We're compassionate, right? We know that there's always a story behind every situation. And for us to judge people, I don't feel like that is, first of all, that's not supporting an inclusive business relationship. So part of the core of relational alignment is learning to drop our preconceived notions about the way we think things are, and to allow the authenticity of the other person to come through so we can appreciate it and listen and just embrace that time of connection, of getting to know another human being and their life, their story, sharing each other's story. There's a really powerful healing energy in that. And pardon me to the folks who don't like woo-woo language, but there is a science now behind the woo. So I am fearlessly stepping out on the skinny branches to talk about spiritual things, because spirit, your business has a consciousness. Your business has a soul. And if we ignore it, it's leaving things up to fate in the way that your culture develops. Really. So it's when we get aligned first within ourselves and then relationally when we network, like get out there and network. Don't just network because this person has something I want. Network because you want to get to know that person, because you never know what else could evolve besides the obvious, because the obvious isn't always the thing. Sometimes the thing that is really meant to happen is behind what's obvious. And until we learn how to suspend our judgments and allow alternative ideas, expressions, and possibilities to emerge, this is when new things can come. Because if we have our own preconceived notions about how we think the way the world should be, or we think the way things go, we don't make room for new possibilities to emerge from a place of neutrality, of compassion, of wanting to achieve a mutual cause or create a spirit of goodwill to support one another in our mutual growth and evolution to make a positive impact in the world. Really, relational alignment is so critically important in this day and age. And I'm sorry, Daniel, I don't mean to hog up the whole conversation, so I will pass it back to you.
No, this is all about you. We want to take from your wisdom, and everything you're talking about is just so important and a huge part of, what we call the unicorn DNA, to be accepting of others and to have an open mind and be willing to listen to other people's perspectives, right? And you talk about not being judgmental when you're networking. And I'm curious if you've had any experiences related to that, but I think it's so important, because if you put up that wall and you judge somebody and you say, oh, they're not a good connection for me or whatever, you may never know who you missed out on connecting with, right? And they could change your life for the better. So it's always been a very important thing for me, dealing with some exclusivity problems as a kid. And I just think it's so important to not be judgmental of others. And so I just think that's very important. So I'm curious, Suzette, why are you so passionate about this? What is it that drives you to want to create a more inclusive world and bring people together to support each other? Why is it so important to you?
Well, it goes back to a memory when I was 7 years old. I have a memory that of being at school at recess, crying because I had just been rejected by a group of kids. 1 minute we're like playing and having fun and just being children. The next minute I'm on the outside looking at these kids huddled, whispering amongst themselves. And then they sent out a little girl who was supposed to be my friend, and she had tears in her eyes. And she said to me, I can't be your friend. anymore because otherwise they won't like me. And the heartbreak for me at that time was immense. And I'm an empathic child and I don't know this stuff, but it devastated me. And when I had a very triggering thing happen to me not that long ago that was so bad, it took me a whole day practically to recover from it. But when I was able to be coherent enough to just breathe and get still, I asked the universe, I said, hey, what is the gift behind the challenge? Please. And I had to sit there for a while, but it finally came to me and that memory emerged. It had been a suppressed memory. After that memory came up, I was able to look back on my life and I noticed every single major point in my life, how it showed up affecting my relationships, my friendships, I was so socially anxious. And it got so bad, Daniel, that for a long time in my life, I could not be in a social setting with too many people because I would have to take a break and go to the bathroom and breathe to take a break. That's how socially anxious I had become of people. And when all these pieces started falling into place, I realized my greatest wound is my greatest blessing because it was preparing me for this work. Culture matters. Culture matters. The way we treat people matters. And whenever in the past, whenever I saw a clique ganging up or injustices happening on account of cliques, or if I felt there was somebody getting bullied, it would trigger my mama bear instinct, which I did not understand why it did that. But now when I look back, it makes a lot of sense because I was so devastated when it first happened to me, that triggering moment that just set the trajectory of the rest of my life. And it was hard. And people take things for granted, but you cannot ignore the individual. You have to honor the whole person because each person is a walking miracle, no matter where they come from.
Right.
So my work started when I realized that I'm here to work with culture because it has such an impact on health, on mental health, on physical health, all kinds of ways it impacts us.
Yeah. And it creates a chain reaction too, right? They say it starts from the top, but it goes full circle, right? I mean, and that's why I think what you're doing is so important and why honestly we're so aligned in what we're trying to do, which is to bring people together who want to create that positive culture within their organizations, accomplish things that support their mission as a company. And really by focusing on those leaders and the executives and the people that are shaping the culture within an organization, by helping them create a culture of more inclusivity and positivity, I totally believe, and it's not even like a belief, I just know that that's going to trickle down and out and around. And if we just align more and more people that are passionate about creating a better workplace like you are, I really think that we can create a more positive world just in general. So I'm curious, Suzette, what would you say are some things that we can do from a business standpoint, from partnership standpoint, anything, from a professional standpoint? What can we do to promote inclusivity better?
It's a practice. Relational alignment is a practice. And one of the best ways to get better at anything is to practice. So get out there and network. If somebody reaches out to you and see, I totally understand. I get hit up by sales pitches all the time, but there is a way you can tell when somebody's really trying to connect and when somebody's just trying to pitch you. And it's so funny because I just recently heard a new term called pitch slapping. So I know people have been pitch slapped to death. I get it. But I encourage you to not let that cause your heart to harden because that's still the most powerful way to connect, to build bridges, to make magical things happen is to allow connection, to be open to connecting with people, and just be kind to those, if I know it's a pain in the butt getting pitch slapped all the time, but like have patience. Like I've had, I've reached out to people just with the intention to, really just to connect, but they were so, they'd been pitch slapped so many times I kind of took the brunt for that, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. I understand. So, but my first tip would be, practice connecting with people who are different, who are from different backgrounds and cultures, different parts of the world, even different states. Cause, let's face it, even states can be different. Provinces can be different. Cultures, traditions. The way we can build bridges is by connecting. And even though I know, and people are very skeptical about it because they're afraid to get on a call and get pitch slapped. I promise you, the ones that are really authentic make those pitch slapping moments so worth it. Sometimes we have to go through a lot of crap before we find the gold, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't even tell you the number of times I've been pitch slapped. And a lot of people refer to that term as like a LinkedIn connection request, right? Where you don't even get on the call with them, but before you know it, you're being pitch slapped all the services they can do for you. It's like, and they're all, oh, I can help you because of blah, blah, blah. This is what I do. This is the value. And it's like, you haven't even looked at my profile because, the answer to what you're talking about is right there, right? And I really like what you said about being patient, because I used to pitch slap people like crazy. Like, I got to tell you, I had these LinkedIn automated campaigns. They sent a connection request. They sent a follow-up message. They sent 10 other follow-up messages with all the different things I could do for them. And one, the conversion on that is just terrible. Two, it's just rude. When I get those messages now, my eyes like gloss over and I just like, oh, next message. And that's pretty much it. I know their automated thing will send me another message later. I'll deal with the people that are not doing that, who actually want to connect, So I definitely resonates with me. And the patience part of it, that's what I'm talking about, because some people just don't know. They just don't know that it's not a good thing to do, right? I didn't know. When I recognized it, I stopped. We had 3 accounts running and I stopped them all because I was like, this is ingenuine. It is, it wastes people's time. Nobody wants to see it. And it really destroys that connection that you might have had. So I wanted to ask, but you kind of answered, but I'm going to ask you anyway, because I think there's more to it. You mentioned how when people are just connecting with others, that one of the ways that we can create more inclusivity in the world is to just connect with people, even, if like get over the visual judgments, get over the verbal judgments, whatever it might be, right? But I feel like that is such a good approach to take when networking with people and connecting people. And I'm curious, what other ways you think that we might be able to create more inclusivity as connectors? Because connectors, in my opinion, have a lot of influential potential, right? And the way that they connect people and interconnect people is so important. And so I'm curious, what other things you would say connectors could do with interconnecting people and creating a better world for everybody?
Yeah, so it would be deepening your listening skills and practicing presence, being with people, being with them when they're speaking and listening and appreciating. You can feel when someone's really listening to you, or when somebody's just like, yeah, and kind of half there and half tuning you out. When somebody's really deeply listening, you can feel that. You can feel it. It's a resonance.
Yeah. Virtually and in person, right? I mean, it's crazy how much you can feel through a computer screen, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you briefly mentioned the A-Player Alignment Accelerator pilot program. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, I want to kind of bring that into the conversation, because I know that what you're doing with the A players is a great way to create a better culture. So can you tell us what it means to be an A player?
Yes. So we are on a mission to raise the bar on what it means to be an A player. It is no longer about being great at what you do. It is now also about being a great human, being kind, being compassionate, being open to new ideas, being flexible, not being so rigid in our beliefs and our traditions. It's really important that we be able to set aside our viewpoints, to listen deeply and remain open to alternatives that can only come when we suspend judgment and allow it to emerge.
I love that. I like so much. And, as we've been talking and as I've been looking into the whole A player program, I really just love that the focus goes beyond performance and it's really about people, right? And being a good person genuinely at the end of the day. So how come you came up with that? How come you decided to create it in this way?
Okay, so there are 3 points of alignment and they all must happen in a certain order, in a certain way to really be sustainable and really get at the root of what it needs to become a sustainable long-term investment, sustainability. And the A Player Alignment Accelerator was created when I realized the work, the experience that I've gained over my lifetime, the realizations that I made as I went through my healing journey. They say that the wounded healer archetype is a type of spiritual pattern that shows up in people's lives when they've gone through such a horrible life experience, but they were able to survive it. And when they survived it, a path of service opened up for them. And that is the way of the wounded healer. Because now we walk a path of service after we've gone through our own fire, after we've gone through our own challenges, and we made it through. And now we are empowered to help others going through the same thing. And when you are born with that in your soul as a calling, it calls to you. And for me, the A Player Alignment Accelerator was just that calling. And it's based upon the principles of 3 levels of alignment, beginning with self-alignment, starting with the leader. That's the first point of alignment in culture, is the leader, the top decision maker, because they have to be the one to step into the work, to do the work, to embody the work, and then become a mentor and a coach to help transform their culture. They are actually have to step in to do the work that I'm doing with them. They will then in turn do the work inside of their organizations. So there is a process they have to follow, and it's not an easy path. It is a lot of inner work, and inner work is deep. It can challenge our beliefs. It can be very stressful. It's a very intense process, but I know and I can assist with the tools to move through those dark times. Dark times are going to happen no matter what. How we experience those dark times, that we can influence by the decisions we make at any point in time. Every choice point is an opportunity. And so when we make the choice to step into this work, it has to be a full-fledged commitment, because that is the first point of alignment is inner work. We're getting anchored to become the mentors, the coaches that we need to be for our people. That's why the leader has to go in first to do this work. And the fact that I've spent most of my life outside in the entrepreneurial worlds, I can see common threads that can actually cross boundaries to traditions, corporate settings, organizational settings. These principles are very broad, the 3 points of alignment that we go through. So once we get through the self-alignment, there's relational alignment, which was, the focus of our talk today. And then there's collective alignment. And that's where the work of working with group energy, collective energy, and training them how to discern the undercurrents and getting to the root of any disturbances that are in there so that you can sense something is not right and then compassionately and diligently work to resolve it so that it's smooth again and you can feel the harmony come back. Because when you're in alignment, things flow, whether it's self-alignment, relational alignment, or collective alignment. When things are in alignment, things flow. When people are in alignment, when groups are in alignment, when partnerships are in alignment, things flow. When they're not, it's like pulling teeth to get the littlest thing done. And that's a signal that there is something that needs to be addressed. So I don't know if I answered that. I kind of went on a little on a little tangent, but did I answer your question?
Yeah, for sure. So and I had asked, what it means to be an A player, and you explained that really well, and why you created it, right? And you mentioned something about change that I just think is so important, and I was talking with somebody today who we were discussing that any real notable change worth actually implementing shouldn't be easy. It should be hard, right? This program that you've created isn't designed to be a go with the flow part of your day. If it's something that you need, it's something you really need to work on to change and improve, right? And that's why it's so necessary. So I love that. And I think, everything you're doing, your passion behind why you're doing it is so important. So you mentioned alignment, right? And I think that, what you said about being aligned is critical to these kind of things even working out. So where would you say it starts? What would you say is the first thing that needs to be done in order for that alignment to actually work out?
What is the intention?
Yeah.
Setting the intention for what it is that you're going to do for whatever, what is the intention? And then
making sure that,
yeah. So here's what I like to say, and this is how I help people remember. The way you focus your intention, you put your attention, you set the intention to focus your attention, because where your attention goes, energy flows, and where energy flows, grows. So when you set the intention, you are focusing the attention so that what you want grows. So if you mean to develop relational inclusiveness, then the first thing is to set the intention and then focus your attention, aligning with it. That is the alignment. You're aligning with the intention by focusing your attention accordingly.
Yeah, I think that's, such a great answer. It goes really well in alignment with our whole golden connection philosophy, which the first part of it is knowing what the objective is, right? Knowing what the mission is you're trying to accomplish. What is the intention with that connection to begin with? And so, it just makes sense. If you're misaligned on the overall mission, then it's just never going to work out, right? If you're working towards two separate goals, not going to happen, right? So I think it just makes sense. I think it's super important. What are some things that you would do to help people get aligned if maybe there is a little bit of a misalignment?
Well, alignment is, like you said, it's not an overnight thing. Sometimes it takes people a while to really get in touch with theirs. So to get aligned it starts from within. It starts with self-alignment, getting right with oneself, focusing on strengthening the connection between the heart and mind so that there's what's called heart-brain coherence. Heart-brain coherence is if there was a highest and best thing every human being can do on this earth, is to get themselves into heart-brain coherence. Because I believe when there's more people in the world that are coherent, heart-brain coherent, when they're walking around like that, I feel like when that percentage is higher than the incoherent people, it's just going to be a different expression of life. It's going to be a different experience because we're not going to be behaving from a place of fear and distrust. We're going to be more compassionate and kind to each other. So, but we're not there. Most of the world lives in fear. That's just the reality of it. But we can do something. It changes one heart at a time. Each of us just doing our own part to get coherent. And you're doing the highest and best thing to contribute to a more compassionate future. It's so amazing some of the work the HeartMath Institute has done, but they've proven that we're actually connected to the electromagnetic field of the earth. And as its signals go up, so does the signals of the human population. We are electromagnetically in sync with the earth's electromagnetic field. And it's all about heart coherence, getting grounded, getting centered, getting to know that inner life, who we are on the inside. And then being at peace that we don't have to fit someone else's expectations. We don't have to, we just be ourselves and be open to other people being different and appreciating our differences and just being curious and open and just get to know people and just let that, whatever emerges from there, let that guide the way forward. There's always a collective synergy that, when two or more people team up, there is a third energy that forms. It's a collective energy. It's the thing that forms culture when there's, when we get into the collective realm of things. But in this collective electromagnetic field are all the beliefs and the thoughts and the attitudes of the people that are in that collective environment. So not only do we have our individual electromagnetic fields, but collectively we form one big one. And this is how, we can miss signs that are in the collective biofield. Like you can pick up when something's not right. And that's when you have to use your intuition to follow it and really listen deeply and what's happening here. But the training in the program is all about getting people hooking up their inner GPS, hooking up that inner battery so they know how to maintain that inner battery so they can resource themselves and not burn out. We get the GPS online, the intuition. We get people trusting it so that when it says make a right turn over here, you're going to make a right turn because you trust it. And then we're going to get a nice map and they're going to articulate the vision because that vision is what unifies people. And if you're not absolutely clear, and this is what we cover in the collective phase of the 8-player alignment accelerator, because all groups, all teams, there is a vision. Every business, there is a purpose, and it has to be clear, or it will not resonate. It will not land. It will not pull. And there's another saying, pain pushes until the vision pulls. And if your vision is not pulling, if your vision is not calling in your people, it's not clear enough. It's still not clear enough. And there's some deep work to do to get it clear. And that's what we work on in the third level of alignment.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it is important, right? Just having everybody working toward that same vision collectively within an organization. And then I feel like once you really have that nailed down, you can then start collaborating with other companies, right? Who have also gone through a similar exercise, who have a very clear and defined mission and vision for their company, and everybody supports it, right? And I think that, we talked about having that objective being kind of the intention being the core part of aligning two people, right? The same applies with two organizations, right? It's even more intricate with even more moving pieces, right? And if everyone's working toward two separate visions, it's just not going to work out, right? I mean, it really is that simple. So you mentioned the collective energy when two people come together, and I just love that. And I think the way that you explained it is just, it's really kind of magical, and it really just emphasizes the importance of coming together and collaborating, right? I'm curious from like an organizational standpoint, what kind of results could you see happening when two organizations come together who are focused on a similar mission and vision? What kind of things do you think, could come from that?
Synergy has no bounds.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah. Right. So, and this is something that I long-term really am passionate about, is aligning organizations that are focused on similar missions, that want to support each other, right? And then when that happens, you can collaborate, you can cross-promote each other, you can share resources, right? Leverage each other's resources. Like so many things that can come from it. So for people that maybe their vision isn't super clearly defined, it sounds like, they should definitely be going through the A-player alignment program, A-player accelerator or alignment accelerator program. And who's the right person for that? Is it the CEO? Is it HR leaders? Is it the owner, founders, board members? You mentioned it starts with the decision maker, right? Who are all the kind of people that would benefit from this program?
Well, it's a very broad, it can be applied broadly, but I understand that, you have to make efficient use of certain things. And so every industry has its own certain practices. So we're starting out with a human resources track.
Okay.
We're also starting a apartment A player track. So for apartment teams, apartment leaders, syndicators, apartment investors, people in that space. So we've got a track for the multifamily industry, because every industry has its own way of operating. So it's very specific to the industry and their needs. So we're tailoring to, so far, there's going to be other specialties in the future, but right now we're going to start with the one for HR and the A player, apartment A player alignment track will also be, for multifamily teams. So those are the main two for now, because those are the main two that I really I don't have such a big learning curve. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to start with that. And then as I network, I'll continue to, if I see, I know healthcare is a big one that I want to tackle. And my sister, I have two sisters. One, she just graduated with her PhD in community, public health and community health. And my other sister, she's a nurse, surgical nurse. She's the boss at her hospital. So we are, we've got something going that we might even come up with a track for healthcare workers. So we're really trying to really get clear on the hotspots so that we can create specialized tracks for those industries. And as they emerge, then I'll be announcing those. But for now, it's just the HR track and the apartment A player track that we're bringing online first.
Okay. Got it. That makes sense. So I'm curious, your company name, Wild Hearts Rising. Can you tell me where that came from? How come you decided to choose that?
So Wild Hearts Rising is everything about my logo, my name is all a story about my spiritual awakening that started in 2015. It was building up to that point, but this is when it really started happening. And Wild Hearts Rising is associated with a wild heart that is natural, authentic, did not get formed into any kind of cookie cutter of any type that, I just couldn't help but stay true to myself. And that's kind of what got me, people fear what they don't understand. So it was a lot of the big reasons why I tried to hide myself. I tried to conform to what other people wanted me to be. And finally, when I had the courage to be my wild, authentic self, that's what it means. Wild, authentic, rising, a heart that's been broken has such power to transform. And so in that way, like a phoenix that rises from the ashes, it's rising. So Wild Hearts Rising is how that came about. And the wolf, the wings, the two hearts that are flaming, they all are symbolic of that journey that I've been on, I've been on all my life. And it's just, I had to walk a certain path to get to where I am today. And so I'm just ever so grateful, but that's the story.
That's very interesting. You kind of touched on it briefly a couple times here and there. And I just think, the way the company name and what you're doing all just are very synergistic. And I just think that's great. I think it's awesome. So thank you for sharing. I also wanted to know, so you had to have come across somebody that just embodied that A player personality that you want to create more of. And I am curious if you've had any experiences or what an experience is that you had where you were like, man, if there were more people like that, we would have A players all over the world changing the world. Do you have any stories that you want to share?
Yeah, every coach and every mentor that played a transformational role in my life, every friend that showed me how much they cared for me, how important and how much I mattered. That's A player.
Yeah.
Someone who's, I have friends who we seem to have everything, but it's like they always figure out a way to take some time to just, spend time and chat. But anyone who's ever helped me, I couldn't have come this far without the allies that showed up in my life. It was when I got right with myself. And that's usually when it happens. But when you get right with yourself, that's when everything starts to open up and you start to meet your allies. And that's the really important lesson for me, because I could have easily gone a different way and protected my heart, formed armor around it and not let anyone get close to me. But then my allies wouldn't have been able to find me. It's the courage to stay open, to have an open and forgiving heart, because it's then that your allies can hear you. They can still see you. Your light's still getting out there. But when you form heart armor and you get so hurt that you don't want anybody to get close to your heart ever again, and you build this wall around your heart, you're also blocking your destiny. You're blocking your intuition. You're blocking your joy, your ability to feel love, to feel joy, to embrace and celebrate life. All of that you're shutting out as well. So it's very courageous to keep that heart open and forgiving, even when it's been crushed, because that's when the light can get in through those cracks. And that's when we're able to make amazing things happen as a collective, because now we're able to trust. Now we're able to trust, which is so important when you're working with people. Do they have my best interests at heart, or are they just using me? Right? It's all about making intentions known and showing up in a certain way that your energy precedes you. Your energy can be felt. That caringness, that kindness, that passion. It's something that it's discernible and it's unmistakable. And that's at the root of all alignment, whether it's self or whether it's relational or whether it's collective.
Yeah. Wow. I just don't even know what to say. I'm grateful both to know you and excited to see the impact that you create from everything that you're doing. So I just think that's amazing. Simply amazing. So we like to talk about golden connections, and you, as one of the Unicorn Universe community members who has been nothing but amazing to have in our group, I wanted to mention your golden connection, which I think is, we talk about collaboration and partnerships, and I think it's going to be a great way for you to fuel the growth of Wild Hearts Rising and create more impact and align with more people, right? And so you said your golden connection were strategic alliances with those who believe that being an A player is more than being great at what you do. It's also about being a great human. And I just love that. I mean, it brings everything back full circle. And so I just wanted to emphasize that, if you have any sort of organization that makes sense to align with Suzette, and that if you believe in this A player type of philosophy, that you definitely want to connect with Suzette. And we've got her info, here for you as well. She's on LinkedIn at Suzette West, and you can also connect with her at wildheartsrising.com, or you can schedule a call with her. We set up a link. It's suzettewest.unicornuniverse.io. So I definitely want to make sure that you get connected with Suzette and support each other, right? Create more A players in this world. That's what I'm all about. I'm all about finding amazing people and lifting them up in one way or another. So yeah, I'm excited to connect people to you who are a good fit for the program. And if any of this has aligned with what you're passionate about and you feel like you can make a positive change by focusing on becoming an A player in this way, definitely worth connecting. So just wanted to say all of that. And then, yeah, we have a couple more minutes left. So Suzette, I'm really grateful for everything that you've shared. I think it is just, one of many steps that we got to take to create more inclusivity in this world. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah. So, the topic is all about relational alignment. So I feel like to add value to this, just to tie it all up in a nice little bow for everybody, I would say get out there and practice. Reach out to me, reach out to Daniel, check out the Unicorn Connector show, subscribe, get involved in the conversation. Don't be afraid to network. Don't be afraid to connect. Don't be afraid to be curious and just suspend judgment and be patient with those pitch slappers. Okay. They don't know any better. Trust me. When I stepped into the, doing this work, and part of that work is getting into the marketing mode. And, you hire these consultants and they tell you all the latest and greatest, and it turns out to be not the latest and greatest. And then you learn what is. And so many of us have to go through that process, and it's kind of a painful process because getting pitch slapped does tend to not make people happy. So patience, be patient. We all
getting
have
slapped hurts.
Right. So
it hurts your relationship. That's what.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so that's it. Yeah. So get out there and practice. Reach out to me, reach out to Daniel. Let's connect human to human and see what kind of magic we can come up with. Let's collaborate. I'm ready. Let's do it.
Yes, I love it. Well, Suzette, thank you so much for coming on. And again, for anybody who is interested, join the A Player Accelerator program. Connect with Suzette. We've given you all the ways to do that. You'll find links in the description, and we'll put it out there as well. Find her on LinkedIn, Suzette West. She's the one with the butterfly wolf. What else is in your logo? You got
two flaming hearts, a fairy, a fairy with butterfly wings, a wolf, and my company name. Yeah.
I love it.
And the wolf, by the way, is Clarissa Pinkola Estes, Women Who Run with the Wolves. That book is amazing. It's like at the heart of the path that I've been walking. The path of the wild woman archetype is amazing, but we'll go into that another time. I just want to tell you, I had such a nice time here to chat with you, Daniel, and I'm so grateful for you and your co-founder and all the wonderful things you're doing there in the Unicorn universe.
Well, thank you, Suzette. That means a lot. And I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. You've definitely touched my heart a few times, and I've had to really keep it in. So thank you so much. Thank you for everybody who tuned in and has listened in. We really appreciate you. And Suzette, it's been an honor and a complete pleasure. So thank you again, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you again soon.
If you're looking to generate revenue by being a connector or by getting referrals for your existing business, then check out how Unicorn Universe creates abundance through connections in our community by going to unicornconnector.com. That's unicornconnector.com. Stay tuned, follow us, and hit the subscribe button as we expand on ways to grow your network, generate income from opportunities we avail, interview our partners and connectors, and show you how to become the magical unicorn connector that you are.